Hello, this is Marc McElroy here at the Electric Cab Recording Studio, and I'm here today to talk about storage. Not where you store your instruments, but where you store your digital music. Hard drives. I'll start by telling you that I've had about, over the course of the last 20 years, not quite 20, but since I've been using computers for music, at least, 20. I've had a couple of hard drives die, and it happens, and it can happen. So, first of all, and most of all, you gotta back everything up like crazy, because it can happen. When you lose a recording, when you lose someone else's master, so much time and effort and money goes into what can be stored on this. This can, you could fit the complete sessions for a couple dozen records on a little hard drive. And if something happens to that hard drive, it's over. That stuff is gone. So, let's take a step back for a second. First, mechanical hard drives, especially ones with discs that actually spin, they can fail. Hopefully you're watching this in the future, and well, you are watching this in the future, but in the further future, and they're just solid state drives everywhere, and there's a lot less drive failure. But mechanical drives do fail. So let's take one step back here and talk about recording. Being that I'm of the age where my first Pro Tools version was 5.1, I think. So I go back. Digital recording used to be a big deal for a computer. Now computers, any computer can record digital music. Your phone can record digital music. It doesn't, it just seems so commonplace that it doesn't seem like any kind of miracle. But it used to be that you would have to write to an external drive. So you have, it just wouldn't work if you didn't. Like, stuff would freeze up because you have your computer drive that runs your OS and your software, and that's like it doing its work. And then as you write, you get your information going down to your writing drive, and that's like a slightly different rhythm because this would be kind of a rhythmic pulsing, and this but just at a different speed. So these two things. Now, if you were to make one drive do both, this one drive would be doing this, playing jazz with this like right, instead of going right. It's like, so this drive, which would be your OS drive, your native built-in drive to your computer, is doing a lot more work. And it used to, if you did that on a computer 10, 15 years ago, you would get weeks out of that computer. Your hard drive would die. It just was the thing where you always were writing to an external drive. Nowadays, we're using solid state drives, which is great. Nowadays, where drives, the computer processors are so much faster that they have to kind of refer back to the drives, and the cache is less, and so it's not as essential that you do it, but it's a great idea. I continue to do it to this day, and I highly recommend you do it as well. Even if you're using a laptop, just get a little external. Even I guess the newer versions of Pro Tools let you use a flash drive to write to. Write to something that's not the drive you're going on, because for two reasons. One, it is better for your drives and better for your computers. It's better for your organization. Number two, it lets you organize things better, because your projects can all live on their own little thing. Or you can have your drive of recent projects and another drive of kind of sleeping projects. So, in short, write to an external drive. It's a good reason for more than one reason. Backup. I do physical backups in the studio on USB drives. Your backup drive doesn't have to be incredible. Most of my backup drives, and this one is a backup, most of my backup drives are just kind of average because you're not working off of them. You just need your information somewhere other than the computer you're working on. I would like to say I do it every week, but it's probably more correct to say I do it every month. I just don't do it as much as I should. But you are responsible for what's on your computer, and so for as long as you don't back that up, you're taking little risks, little mini risks with people's stuff. So I not only do I back things up, but each one of my backup drives has a mirror drive, which means they're backed up in two places, two identical drives. So you have your backup drive, and then you have the mirror of your backup drive. And that mirror is, and this is super geeky, but that's off-site backup. That's the most secure thing for a physical drive, is to have it not in the same place you're working. I just keep them at home. And your off-site backup is only handy in case of tragedy, such as fire or theft. But it doesn't cost much to be this careful, and you owe it to the people you work with, you owe it to yourself to make sure that everything's backed up. And like I said, I back it up in two places. Now your mirror drive doesn't necessarily have to be backed up as often, but just make sure you rotate them in and keep a drive. I actually have a mirror of the actual hard drive in the computer, so if my computer hard drive failed, I just unplug it, plug in the next hard drive, and we'd be right back to work. And that's an actual mirrored, identical copy drive. And then my external drives also have clones of them in existence. So, right to an external drive. Backup, backup, backup. Some people use cloud-based backup things, which is great if you have a good internet connection. If you have your computer running for long times when you're not using them. Another thing, and this goes back to me being in the recording business long enough to remember when recording was difficult, I usually disconnect my computer from the internet while I'm recording, just out of a habit, because I don't want some little thing updating. I don't want any processor time or speed going to anything that isn't the music. So I actually have a little, I'll show it to you. This is my Wi-Fi, and I unplug it and set it up here when I'm recording, and then I forget about it for weeks, and then, oh yeah, I don't have Wi-Fi plugged in, I plug it in again. The actual internet signal here is not good enough to, I don't want to pay for the kind of internet that is going to be good for backing up music files, because 2496 files are big, and then you have to have your computer running in a downtime time in order to do that. So if you have something like that set up, great, and if you can get in that habit. But I am still in the habit of making physical copies of what I'm working on and what I have previously worked on, and storing them accordingly. Also, I always tell clients this: you are responsible for your own masters. I am not. It used to be in the studio business, the masters would often get stored at the studio they recorded at, because tapes didn't always play back on other tape machines quite right. Also, it meant that you'd be coming back to that studio. So it kind of like it's like leaving your toothbrush at your prospective girlfriend's house or something. It's that little thing that kind of like draws you back to working. Oh, this guy's got my tapes, let's go there. And it used to be with tapes, and so that was a thing where studios were responsible for storing and taking care of master reels often. Those days are over, and I am glad for it. I don't want anything to do with that, and I tell all my clients when we're done doing whatever project, an album or something, bring in one of these, copy the stuff to it, then make a backup copy. I will keep a copy of your stuff here so that I don't throw things out, but you are responsible for your master. And if you're working at someone else's studio, working at your own home studio, whatever, keep all your stuff. Remember, like when Prince, just about destroyed his career trying to get control of his masters. The master recording. Master recordings were a big deal back when they were something very unique like a tape. Now that you can have multiple copies of it, now that it seems like the storage is virtually free. People don't really think about that, but you should have your own masters. You should be in charge of them. You should keep them backed up. I tell my clients that bring in your own thing. We'll copy it to you, and then you get your thing. I'll keep it, but don't depend on me keeping it, because I won't necessarily. It's your stuff, your music. You take care of it. And 20 years down the road, when you want to revisit something, you'll be able to. You don't have to hunt down someone who's going to say, "Oh yeah, I don't know what that is. Or, that was on a computer I don't own anymore." Or that kind of, "I'm not in that business anymore," or something like that. Make sure you keep control of your masters by keeping a copy. Okay, that's the hard drive talk. Thanks for listening. Hope it was informative. And I have other videos like this. Have a watch and a listen, and hopefully they can be helpful to you as well. And thanks for watching.